Hey, Multiverse Nerd Podcast listeners. Just to inform you, there is some misinformation in this podcast because I did a little bit of research about it, and some of the research that I did read was older, come to find out. LeBron James actually has 2 Olympic gold medals, not just one. So please bear with me on that one. And then also, if you stay till the end of the podcast, there will be a very, very special announcement at the end of it. So stay to the end for the huge announcement.
Now, let the show begin.
Good morning, Multiverse Nerd Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Nerd Podcast. I am your host from Nerd Council Interviews on TikTok, Terry. And then I have my wonderful co-host, Multiverse Shaggy on TikTok.
Back.
And welcome to another episode. So this is episode 7. No, 6. 6. Yeah, episode 6. Today, if you notice, I'm wearing a jersey.
Yep.
Today, we're talking sports. The evolution of sports, what's considered sports, how sports started, and talking the controversial sports moments, talking about people who have brought sports into the limelight and everything else sports related. See, the one thing a lot of people think when it comes to sports is you're a jock. Not smart, not educated well enough to be considered a nerd when you play sports. Don't you agree? Like that's a stereotypical thing. But in my eyes, you are a nerd. A person who is all about the statistics, all about the players, plays the game itself, the fantasy footballs, the fantasy leagues in general, because you have to know the statistics, you have to know all this stuff. That makes you a nerd because you are passionate about one subject. It's a nerd. So someone would call this pandering to those folks, but I am not pandering to you. I am a sports guy myself. I love baseball. I played left outfield, and I also was a good hitter. 3.41 RBI when I was playing high school baseball. And the only reason why I played high school baseball, other than my football career being ended my freshman year by my kicker during tryouts, he broke my left arm. My right arm. My right arm. Broke my right arm, so I had to learn to throw with my left hand, which I still to this day can do. I'm ambidextrous on throwing. But the evolution of sports is broad because sports have been around for a millennia. So you have the Aztecs playing basically a version of soccer and basketball at the same time, with that whatever that sport was called. But they literally would kick a ball up a wall and try to throw it through a hoop. You ever seen that before, Shaggy? I guess that's part of the history buff in me, the history nerd in me. And then you have the Olympics starting way back when. with running, javelin, disc throwing, which they back then their disc was their shield. So the evolution of sports has been growing and growing and growing into rugby, soccer, or for my English people, football. You have baseball started here in the United States by priest and clergymen. Then you have some people who consider golf, bowling, martial arts. Those are all considered sports. So we're going to talk about those today on the podcast. So sit back, enjoy while we break down sports. And Shaggy, when it comes to sports, what's your favorite sport to play?
You already know me. I'm a football guy.
Yep. You told me that you were on a state division championship team for, what was it, 3A or 4A?
So we were actually a homeschool team. And so I started with the team back in 2018, 2019, when I got put in the homeschooling. And it was like we were 11-man team. It was, we had coaching or whatever. But the thing was with our team for the last 10 years, and even in that year, we didn't win a single game. Like we won at least one or two, but that was about it. We only won one that season, or I think it was like two or one that season that I was with them. I basically restarted my freshman year for that team, and in my sophomore year, we got new coaching, and it was mainly the coaching that was a big problem. Was they weren't communicating the plays. It was readable. It was the same plays over again. We ended up getting a coach from the Dallas area that moved down here who actually has NFL connections. He actually, I can't remember. He actually, so I'm not going to say the name because I might get this wrong, but he did coach a very famous receivers, or either receiver or defense player's son in the NFL, and he came over, and that year we won nine. I think we were like 9 and something or 8 and something. First time in the Lions history. The next year, into my junior year, it was 2021. We won the state championship. Now we had to go into 6-man, and that was because of COVID. We didn't have enough players. But we did have 6-man. We won the 6-man state championship out of Teao, which what the association was. And we all got diamond rings and stuff, and we won that. And I think we were 10-2.
Oh wow! Yeah, we were.
It was competitive, and
Yeah, and that's one thing with football.
we're North Side Lions.
Aha, the title. That's awesome. So you've been a football player. I played football uh, all the way up until my freshman year, until that career got ended, and then I transferred into baseball. Never really got into soccer, but I know soccer now because of my nephew's huge soccer player. Yeah, he's also a football player. And the funny thing is, he's soccer first, football player second. But in the football team, he's actually on the varsity team as the kicker. So he does really well. He has a really great hang time. I think right now he's ranked number 12th in the nation for kicking. So he's going to be looked at his senior year for a college fun.
Yeah, our quarterback was ranked in the top. I think he was in the top 5 or top 10. And by the way, that was one thing that I found impressive was our coach. The player that was our quarterback, he's never played football in his life. He was actually a basketball player. He's never thrown like a football or something like that. So to be able to take talent like that and turn it into like one of the top players in Texas, that's pretty in the nation too. It's
Yeah.
impressive.
And that's the way, like, if you have the drive and you have the passion for a game, you're gonna find, even if you've never played it in a way, uh there's surprising people out there who, like, I never thought me growing up would be into bowling. And me now, I'm a huh?
I grew up in bowling. I actually had a bowling alley 3-minute walk distance from my house when I was born in Rhode Island, and I literally went there every day. And
Yeah, I bowl in a couple leagues. When I first started bowling, and to the people who don't think bowling is a sport, um I got 3 words for you. Go suck on an egg. It's a sport.
I will say this: a lot of people need to take this like, oh, it's just you rolling the ball. Do you know the amount? It's kind of like taking a baseball and throwing it. It's about the curve. You have to literally get that ball to spin the way you want it, so it can curve to get that angle to get the strike. So
Yeah,
or spare. So like you're looking at it's not about hitting all the pins in just one area. It's about hitting them in the right area to make them all fall down like a domino set.
yeah,
That is,
and there,
and by the way, dominoes is a sport. It actually is. They have competitions every year in the U.S. for
yeah,
domino, just making domino sets to make them fall over to make art pieces. That is literally the whole thing.
yeah, and like a lot of people look at like, okay, I don't know what the craze is about pickleball. I really don't.
I've heard about it, but I don't know much.
Right. So,
But yeah, I don't know much about pickleball. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
okay, it's a combination of both tennis and ping pong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like you're playing ping pong on a tennis court. Like, you got these big old paddles. Like, it looks like a
When you say
giant
big
ping.
old paddle, when you say big old paddle, I'm thinking of like a really big ping pong.
No, it looks, yeah, it's a square paddle. It looks like someone took a pizza slider from like a pizza oven
Oh
and
yeah,
cut the end off.
yeah. What?
Yeah, that's how big this thing is. Like, I have a set downstairs in my garage right now because it was such a craze that the company that my wife worked for were giving them away for the promotions they do for their customers, and they gave us set away. And I was looking at it going, dude, if I put a longer stick on this, I can use it for a pizza oven. Like, I don't know the craze, and but like so
Harry,
many
no.
things nowadays,
Harry, yes.
so many things nowadays are considered sports that I looked at and go, how? Like, shit that I did as a kid. Okay, shit
Yeah.
that I did as a kid for fun, for fun, is now considered a sport. Can you take a wild guess that what that is?
Well, it depends. You gotta give me something to go on.
I'll make a sound below. I won't show it, but you've got to tell me what you think it is.
I have no idea what you mean. I-
It's
Oh,
considered a sport
about
now.
yeah, you're talking about like the
The power slaps
yeah, power slaps. I
that
know that.
is
Yeah.
done by the UFC.
Mhm.
Okay, here's even a crazier one. And it was by random happenstance that we started watching this one night, me and my wife. It was on ESPN2. Okay. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't know why we were up at 3 o'clock in the morning either. I think I had just gotten off work or something. But there is literally an organization called the PFC.
Heard of that? What does that stand for?
Pillow Fighting Championships.
I want in. I want in.
It was literally, they're doing pillow fights, like legit pillow fights, like taking one of these
Mm.
in a boxing ring.
Oh, me and you would have fun with that.
And
Um,
like they're spinning, they're backhanding, like some of the skills, like I'm looking at it going, damn. Like they're like duking and diving, and I'm sitting there going, damn, what the hell are they putting in these pillows? Because one guy got busted open in the fight I was watching. And
yeah,
it intrigued me, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like I think we watched it for like a good hour. I think we watched like 4 or 5 matches because it was an actual tournament to figure out who was the best pillow fighter in the United States.
yeah, and you want to know another sport that you definitely grew up on but never thought it would be a sport?
What?
Tag,
And you
especially
know
with the
the
jungle gym setup with that they have, because I've seen those fights or those chasing where they're going into the chase each other. The amount of freaking parkour, like the whole time, I'm just like parkour, 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 and it's just so cool to watch.
yes, I've actually seen that. And you know the reason behind that happening?
Hmm.
Do you know the reason why? Is because the movie Tag with Jeremy Renner
Mhm.
was such a popular movie, and the way they were doing like the parkour stunts and trying to catch that one dude, that actually came to life because of that movie. I remember
Really?
watching that, and I remember watching the history. Like they did like a documentary on the sport of being the sport of tag, and it literally one of the guy who started the whole competition was like, yeah, I just started it because I watched the movie Tag and thought we played that as a kid. Why can't that be a professional sport like it kind of is in this movie?
Yep.
But it's like with the evolution of sports, you're getting away from what I like to call the big three. You have baseball, basketball, football. Even though football has not been around as long as baseball
Don't forget about soccer.
and soccer, but when you talk about American football, you talk about baseball, and you talk about um, then you have the sub three that I like to call them the sub three. You have hockey, soccer, and golf. Those are the sub three when you talk about like the big sports in the United States. But then you come into F1 racing. Then you got Formula. You got NASCAR. You,
Motorsports.
you got motorsports. It's in the name. It's motorsports. And
So I
to
love.
people with motorsports, people think that's not a sport at all. And once again,
I love motorsports. Man.
yes, same here. That's going to be a whole nother episode. And hopefully I can get a friend of mine who is a huge car guy. And on on this conversation on that subject when it comes to cars. But when it comes to sports, the evolution is always growing. There's a new type of sport always coming up. Like who thought one day that playing Call of Duty would be considered a sport?
I've actually been a part of tournaments.
I know back then, when I first growing up, they literally had the Nintendo World Championship competitions, but nobody would consider it a sport. Now you have teams of players, you have sponsors, you have national televised matches of like Rainbow Six, CS:GO. Um, you have Call of Duty tournaments, you have Apex Legends tournaments, you have Fortnite tournaments.
Yep.
Literally in the name is esports. I never thought that it would be that way ever.
And by the way, I actually have the honor of saying that my brother, I will not say his name, but my brother actually was part of the 0.1% file in the world of one of the best Call of Duty players.
I have the pro. You ever heard of Air Conflicts?
And
The
that was
video
back
game Air.
in 19, that was back in 2019. What's up?
Yeah. The video game Air Conflicts. One of my friends and me, mostly him, he was actually in the top 1% of the best fighter pilot in a video game.
Really?
Literally, it was like whenever he plays video games, he's a completionist, but he's also like, he wants to be the best, like legit be the best at everything he does. Um, but when it comes to sports, the evolution's always going. It's always moving forward. But when you look at the passive evolution, the passive sports, you can see where it all starts and where it gets its start. Like American football, it got its start uh, by taking a combination of soccer and rugby and just adding padding to it.
Yep.
Made it a little bit
Back
more,
then, they only had leather. They didn't have the plastic padding that we have now.
and the composite material helmets like you got up in the corner there, um, or the protocols for TBIs and concussion protocols, injury protocols. Back then, it was the hardest hitting game to be part of
Oh,
because you were like, and I miss that type of game. The game that we're watching now is such a
and don't,
pansy ass game,
don't get me wrong, they give some good hits, right?
but they
But
get in trouble for doing that now.
well, I mean, I can understand that because I've been hit. That's the very helmet I played with, by the
Yeah,
way. And I've been hit by targeting, and it doesn't feel good.
no,
It,
it doesn't. I've had bones broken. I've had ribs cracked from getting hit.
oh no,
Uh,
try being weighed like 110 the way I did and going flying 15 yards.
I was short and stocky before I went into the military. Uh, my recruiter basically helped me lose a whole nother person before I went into the military. I think I lost like almost 200 pounds
Wow.
before I went into the military. I think it was like almost, I think I was almost 330, 5'8", and he helped me get down to like 120 before I went into the military. Now, do I wish I was back in my military weight? Yes. Am I going to change that? Yes. And that's another sport, bringing that up. CrossFitting, a type of workout, is now considered.
Don't forget about, I just thought of it, Crockett.
What?
Crockett.
What is Crockett?
I can't remember if that's the exact name for the sport. I might be totally fucking freaking wrong, right?
Yeah.
But there's an actual sport now. That basically it's like hockey sticks, but they have the catchers, and it's literally throwing a ball and running with it and getting to the goal like a soccer goal.
Oh, you're talking lacrosse.
Lacrosse is what I meant to say.
Yeah, lacrosse.
That's
Okay. I'm like,
I don't know why. We can cut that out and put Crocus in there.
no, I'm leaving that shit in there. uh, with lacrosse, yes, honestly, that's a combination of, okay, looking at it, I've seen it, haven't never played it, but I've had watched lacrosse games on ESPN U, because that's usually a university game.
I actually grew up with it. My brother was actually in lacrosse.
Never got to play it. Looks like fun, because it looks like it's a combination of rugby and baseball and soccer all at the same time, because you gotta catch it in a mitt. That's your baseball. You're hitting other players to get into that ball loose. There's your rugby. But you're also wearing padding, so that's your American football. And then
Mhm.
you have your soccer, because you're trying to throw it into a net. That's a goalpost. So
Or
it's like,
hockey again.
huh?
Or just hockey because you still got to get that into a net.
Or hockey. Hockey has multiple evolutions to it. And hockey has a history behind it. And I love hockey. Love hockey. I'm born and raised in South Texas. Never got the chance to play hockey, but every time I got to go watch, like the San Antonio Rampage, the Dallas Stars, the Detroit Red Wings, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the New York Rangers, where Wayne Gretzky. I've had the privilege of meeting Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
Had the privilege of meeting him. Getting to watch those guys. Now, talk about a hard hitting game. Literally, there is a stigmatism to hockey, and that is, I went to a hockey match to watch a boxing match,
And
because most of the time back in the like early days of hockey, there would be so many fights
oh yeah.
from that. I mean, prime example of um hockey at its rawest. Before the incident that I'm going to tell next after this, there was an incident between Team Russia, because they were considered the most dominant force in hockey, even beating out Canadian teams. There was only one team that beat the Russians so bad that they quit mid-match.
What team was that?
The Pittsburgh It was the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they called them the Pittsburgh Brawlers. And this was during the height of the Cold War.
Oh,
They were fighting so much, they knocked out players left and right. They were literally just boom, boom. Nobody wanted to play them. Not even American teams wanted to play them because they didn't care. They had 90% of their team was what's called an enforcer. They would pile drive people against the wall, knock people out. They had the most time as for a team. They still hold the record, the Guinness Book of World Records. They still hold it to this day for one season of play for the most time spent in a penalty box because of all the fights they started. And then now you
and they're
have,
that,
huh?
and they're proud of that.
Oh, they were extremely proud of it. It got them 3 Stanley Cups.
And
That's how proud of it they were. Now, the most recent event when it comes to hockey and fighting, Team USA versus Team Canada. Did you hear about that incident?
no,
Okay. So there was an extradition match of Team Canada versus Team USA. Canada booed during the national anthem of the American team.
oh no, that's the utmost disrespect.
The United States hockey team did not take that very well.
Of course they didn't. I would be pissed.
And within the first 30 seconds of the game, knocked out 3 Canadian players.
Mm.
And then proceeded after that to continue doing that the whole entire game. It wasn't a hockey match. This looked like it was a straight up, I'm going to pile drive everybody into the wall. You saw Canadian players getting flipped over on their back. You seen Canadian players getting their teeth knocked out. We won the game too, 3-1.
This was a war.
It was a war. And it was just like it was like it like I looked at it and went, Team Russia, Team United States back in the 87. That's what it was to me. I was looking at that going,
87. That was the year my dad joined in the military.
and it was. And it was a huge match back then. And then you have, when it comes to rivalries in the sports industry, you have rivalries all over the place. Can you tell me in all the sports who is the biggest rivalry? The one that everybody knows about?
Well, I know we have one in Texas already, and that's the Red
Believe it or
River.
not, that is actually the biggest rivalry that is talked about still to this day. Other than
I knew it. I actually know something for once. I'm proud of myself, Terry. I did it.
Oklahoma University versus the University of Texas is actually one of the most talked about rivalries in the world because they know the fight that goes on. You could have the most winningest team, literally the most, like your team could be undefeated, either University of Texas, University of Oklahoma. That team could be undefeated. But when it comes to that rivalry,
Yep.
statistics go out the freaking window.
And I'm sorry, this rivalry's been going on for like decades.
Centuries.
Yeah, this this
It
this is
is one
years.
because before the NFL came along, you had you had collegiate football only. That was the sport. You had collegiate football, and then came along the NFL. It was collegiate football before it became the National Football League, and you had national football teams. It's just like with the NBA. You had collegiate teams before you had NBA teams. It's just like with baseball. You had collegiate before you had MLB. You had hockey teams before you had the NHL. A lot of games all started in either a high school level or a collegiate level before it became a professional sport. It's just like I prime example with pickleball. Right now it is a trend. It started in a college.
Yeah,
So I have a prime suspicion that pickleball is going to be the next professional sport out there. It's just like with the power slap. Started in because somebody wanted to play a game, and now it's a professional. They train for that stuff. Training is one of the prime examples of the drive of sports. But going back to the rivalry isn't even in the game itself, but among the fans.
yep.
Can you tell me what is the rivalry among fans that everyone gets in fights about?
Well, especially against team, but not
This
that
one
can.
is actually player versus player.
Hmm.
Can you tell me what rivalry is brewing among players or fans about players?
Nope.
And it's all because your generation.
Oh no. Hey. We both agreed. I am not a part of that. I'm a lot more mature than that.
You are, I will give it to you. I will give you that.
I'm not. I
But
don't agree with my generation on this.
your generation started the fight. They started the fight, but my generation is winning the fight.
And what fight is that? I want to know now.
LeBron James versus Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan. I'm sorry, LeBron. LeBron was too hyped. Yes, he's a good player, but have you seen how many teams you switched to?
That's the fight because everybody's saying, "Oh, he's the goat. He's the goat of basketball, the
Uh,
greatest of all times."
you want to know the goats of basketball? Let's go from there. Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, freaking those were the players that I looked up to. When
Kobe
I was
Bryant, Avery
yeah,
Johnson, Sean Elliott, Tim Duncan,
don't get me wrong,
David
when
Robinson.
I liked LeBron James, but the older I got, the more I saw that it was just like it was ruining it for me because they were hyping him too much.
He is
He's a good
to
player.
me, to me, LeBron James. LeBron James is not a basketball player. He is an actor because
Really?
you barely, you blow in his direction, and he goes, "I'm unconscious." That's LeBron James. Michael Jordan would drive to the basket, to the goal every time. The man got elbowed in the face, elbowed in the face, broke his damn nose, still played the game. Didn't want to let his team down at an Olympic event because he had the flu, played the game with 102 fever, played all 4 quarters. Would LeBron James do that? Nah, his ass would probably be at home going, Mommy.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say this, me and you are gonna get so much hate. But I don't care. It's the facts. And that's what I have to tell people. It's the facts.
It
Am
is.
I
It
clear?
factually,
Don't get me wrong.
factually.
We're not
There's a
saying
couple things that LeBron James does beat, that he does beat Michael Jordan in. There is minimal statistics that LeBron James beats Michael Jordan in. Minimal. But overall, statistically, Michael Jordan in his prime would whoop in his prime LeBron James.
okay, so you want to put that rivalry. How about Shaquille O'Neal? What do you think of him?
Oh, love the man to death. The man is an unstoppable force. Can't shoot free throws for shit.
He's really good at dunking.
He's really good at dunking. He's got great 3-point stats.
Yeah.
He's got great 3-point stats. He drives to the power. He's all power. You can't really get to like stopping him. The only way you're stopping that man when he's at full force is if you put a brick wall in front of him.
And then that's one thing I want to ask. Shaquille O'Neal in his prime or Michael Jordan? In his
Michael
prime?
Jordan, hands down. Michael Jordan, hands
I
down, any
will
day of the
say
week.
ultimate team up would be them.
And they did team up for a lot of the Olympic Games.
Really? I did not know
See,
that.
this is where
This is the
uh
way for everyone else. This is where the knowledge comes between me and him. I'm younger. I still learning. He's older. He knows
I
more.
have generational knowledge. Uh, when it comes to Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan has multiple Olympic gold medals.
Yep.
LeBron James only has one.
Promote
Shaquille
Shaq.
O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal, multiple gold medals. LeBron James only has one. Kobe Bryant, may rest in peace. Black Mamba, multiple gold medals. And I'll say it again. LeBron James only has one. Because he's only played in one Olympics. Because the last Olympic he was going to play in, he got sick. Now, am I a little biased when it comes to basketball? Yes, I will admit I have my players. I have my team. Give me 1 second.
We're gonna pause for that second. All right.
No, because we're going to keep this going. Am I a little biased when it comes to my team? Fuck yes, I am.
Spears.
I am a
That's
diehard
Spears. Is that the Spears? Please say I got that right.
Spurs.
Heard.
Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs. I have been a diehard San Antonio Spurs fan even well before they won their first national championship. I have followed Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott, Tim Duncan, David Robinson. And then you have Manu Ginobili. You have Tony Parker. Those were the big ones.
Yeah.
And then you have the great, and he is going to be in the Hall of Fame for basketball if he's not already there. You have probably one of the greatest coaches who I think is actually going to be stepping away here shortly. because of health issues. Greg Popovich, probably one of the greatest coaches ever to grace a court.
No, I wasn't laughing. I love that. I was only laughing because I heard Kakovich.
That's his name. It's Popovich. Or we just call in San
Kakovich.
Antonio, we call
Pop.
him Pops.
Oh, I heard something.
Get your mind out of the gutter. But
Papa.
he took the San Antonio Spurs when he first came on. Took a ragtag team of rookies. Gave him a leader in David Robinson. And began to make a name for the San Antonio Spurs, because San Antonio, when it comes to the television market of like sports, we are not considered a big time sports name. We're not, because you have Houston, you have Dallas, and Fort Worth. Those were considered big time television markets. And then it's the San Antonio Spurs came along, gave San Antonio a shot, and then you have the birth of the San Antonio Spurs and the family behind them. We literally name every season after the championship number we're going after. We are now on, we're going for number 6. We're trying to go for number 6 in our national championships. And we call it the run for siete, which is 6 Spanish for number 6, if I remember correctly. If I'm remembering my high school Spanish correctly, it's the run for 6. So, yes, I'm a little biased when it comes to my sports. I have my teams.
Yep.
Just like everybody else has their teams. Like you have the Dallas Cowgirls. Oh, let me correct myself. The Dallas Cowboys. America's team, supposedly. I have never liked the Dallas Cowboys. Even when my cousin was playing for the Dallas Cowboys.
Really?
Yes. My cousin was the quarterback that led them to 3 Super Bowl championships.
What's his name?
Number 8, Troy Aikman. He is my third cousin.
Related to Troy Aikman.
Yes, he is my third cousin. I've met him a bunch of times. Huh?
Talk to him still?
Only at family reunions. Only at family reunions. And I haven't been to a...
Aikman, dude.
Yeah. The first time I talked to him, it was kind of funny. I was at it was me and my middle brother. We were at a summer camp. And everybody found out our last name was Aikman. And
I pronounced it Eichmann.
Huh?
I always pronounced it Eichmann.
No, it's pronounced Aikman. They found out our last name was Aikman, and they're like, "Oh, you're not related to Troy Aikman." And both of us are like, "Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are."
I'm
And
guessing
they're like, "Prove it." They're like, "Prove it. Prove it." So one day, it was a weekend. We had a Saturday. We called the Dallas Cowboys. Called the practice field. They transferred us over to him. And we're like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember us from the family reunion or not, but we're so and so's sons. And they're like, oh yeah, how you doing, cuz?
Yeah.
And everybody can hear that. And they're like, holy shit, they're related to him. So
That's
yes,
cool, man.
yeah. And that was like the very first time I actually, outside of the family reunion kind of setting, that I've talked to him. He's a good guy, great football player. Sometimes can be a dick, but that's with anybody.
Oh, yeah, Terry knows that with me specifically.
So, but with the evolution of sports, what do you think the next evolution in sports is going to be?
It really, it just really comes down to, are they just going to make it about the money and the rules and all that, or are they really going to make it into a competitive sport like it used to? That is where the question lies.
Yes, and honestly, I see it right now. As of right now, if it keeps going in the progress that it is going now, it's all about the money. Prime example. Prime example is this: the NFL. Everybody thinks it is this big conspiracy of it's being scripted right now.
I was actually going to say that earlier, but you just can't, especially the halftime shows aren't the same.
No, they're not. But the reason why I say it is the way it is, and it's all because of, and I know we are probably going to get a lot of comments in this one, and we're going to get a lot of hate for it, for what I'm about to say. But bring on the hateful comments. Bring on everything you can, because you can't cancel something that isn't even alive yet. The only reason why the Kansas City Chiefs were in the Super Bowl is because of Taylor Swift.
That makes sense why they were booing her at the game.
The only reason why. Because she did something for the NFL that hasn't happened in a long time. She brought viewership
Yeah,
because she is dating a Kansas City Chief player.
yeah. Which is Patrick Mahomes, I think.
No, not Patrick Mahomes. Actually, a lot of people thought it was Patrick Mahomes, but it's Travis Kelce.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Travis Kelce, uh, from the like the Kelce brothers. Um,
I miss the Watt brothers. I really miss the Watt brothers.
oh God, you get me on JJ Watt. Get me on JJ Watt, and I will talk here for hours on end. That man was a godsend to Texas.
It just this is the thing when I think about Watt. I don't think the Texans used him properly.
No, no, and I totally agree with you on that. They did not. They did not live him up to his potential. Ever since he got away from Texas, he has performed 1,000% more better.
Wasn't he with the Cardinals last? Who was he with now?
Yes, I believe it was the Cardinals that he was just with, and
Did-
he was performing as a defensive player 1,000% better.
Yeah, is he retired now?
I don't think he retired yet.
Because I think we have the other two Watt brothers, who
Yeah, which were his younger brothers.
which I think one of them's on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can't remember if he's still there.
Yeah, that's his middle brother. It's one of his younger brothers. Yeah, you have the Watt brothers. Um,
I
but
I want to see all three on the same team. I
oh,
want
that would have been
three.
an unstoppable
One of
force.
them's a running back. One of them's, I believe, the safety. I can't remember if it was a linebacker or safety. And
Yeah,
the other one is, which JJ is a defensive defender or a outside defender. I can't remember what you call that position.
yeah.
Oh, deep,
Wide defender.
defensive. Dang, I used to be that position too. Defensive end.
When I played, I was strong safety. When I played, I was strong safety. Because I was always, I could, they wouldn't see me coming. And then when I became a defensive lineman, um, it was like I used my short stockiness to my advantage. Because you have players that are like 5'9", 6'1", like real tall guys. And then you have my short ass at 5'7", when I'm starting to play football, 300 plus pounds.
Yeah, my by the way, my
I
dad
could
is
slip underneath your feet and go for your freaking go for the sack, and they
yeah,
would never
my
see me coming because dude running. I would look like fucking like a hobbit, just running underneath you.
oh, I was known when I was in football, I was known as the Forrest Gump of the team because
Yeah,
of the way I ran. I always had my knees going up to my chest, and it was because my knees were really bad, and that was the only way I could really run. I was a starting kickoff actually, because I
ah,
was the only player that was known for getting to the end of the field. And you know how the one rule in football, never hold the ball out.
yeah.
He received the ball. I was already on the 10-yard line. And he I happened to leave my hand out like this with my receiver gloves, and he had the ball out like this instead of tucking it, and my hand happened to hit it, causing a fumble on the 5-yard line.
Recovery and touchdown.
No, I wasn't able to recover it because they did an illegal trip. Their player came in and swiped my legs,
They were
and I
saving the play.
had to crawl, but I had to crawl to get the ball, and he ended up getting the ball. But they were on the 5-yard line. We held it, and we were able to get it in for a touchdown afterwards because it was already fourth down and stuff. But I ran back to my coach. That was probably the first time I ever like did something good, like right. And I ran back to the coach like, I did it! I caused a fumble. I was like so happy with myself.
And I remember the first time I got my first sack in my first football game, my eighth grade year, when I finally transitioned from strong safety to defensive lineman, um, and got my very first sack. Um, it, Coach Gary, which was the coach that coached me both my seventh grade and my eighth grade year, he used to give like stickers to like outstanding plays and outstanding things. Never really, like, as a strong safety, you really didn't have like outstanding plays for, unless you like caught an interception from a long ball or you stopped a player from getting a touchdown. You really didn't have really good outstanding plays. But that first time I got my first sack and folded that guy like a pretzel, he came up to me and took the whole entire sticker sheet and went, "Good job." And I went, "Yay."
Yeah, like now in soccer in Fort Worth, my dad was the number one goalie in Fort Worth in his time.
So,
In Fort Worth, and that was pretty exciting to hear.
okay.
By the way, he's only like 4'6". He was probably shorter than that guy then.
So, all right. We talked about all kinds of stuff with the evolution of the sports. We talked about rivalries. We talked about sports going into the future. Um, Guys, it's been wonderful talking with you guys today. Um, I know
Well,
it's
before
kind of a
you
short
go,
episode. It's
well,
just
before I have a question for you.
yes.
What sport or what game would you like to see become a sport?
Honestly, it's already considered a sport right now. Um, because it has its own championship. It has its own professional lineage. Um, Multiple people play it to this day. But the one thing I would love to see it become is an Olympic sport, actually, and that's bowling.
Yep.
I would love to see Olympic sports become bowling, because there's a lot of sports that I've seen that I've already like. I look at it and go, "How is that an Olympic sport?" And prime example from this latest Olympic sports events was how in the F is breakdancing considered a sport over bowling? How in the hell did breakdancing become an Olympic sport before bowling?
I can hear it in your voice.
Because I'm looking at it going, okay, I am not getting any younger, damn it, and I want a chance to play in the Olympics. So this is you got me on a soapbox now, mother trucker.
I feel like I would be your polish for the ball. I feel like I would be the polish boy if you were in that. If you're in that, polishing the bowling ball for you.
You got me on a soapbox now because now I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking right at you, Olympic Sports Committee. I am looking at you. You have 8 years. Los Angeles, United States of America. Actually, no, you have 3 years. 2028. Make bowling an Olympic sport that I could try out for. Because I want to go to the Olympics. I don't care if I win. If I win, great. Yes, I win something. But I want the ability to say behind my name, Kerry Aikman, Olympic athlete. That's all I want. So, to the Olympic Sports Committee, I say it again. Make bowling an Olympic sport over breakdancing. Get rid of breakdancing because that was a waste of time. Even though it did really give us some really good memes.
I feel like I just imagine just seeing you during that thing, just being like, "I'm coming for all of y'all. They finally made me an Olympic athlete. I am coming for all y'all motherfuckers."
And I would be. I would be. So, all right,
Anyways,
guys.
have for this episode.
Yep, that's
So
it for this episode. I'm getting off my soapbox. I just as our new saying goes, guys,
rock on.
rock on.
I didn't do the thing.
I know. So, you stayed to the end. You wanted to know what that huge announcement was. Ladies and gentlemen, as of March 9th, 2025, at 7:11 a.m. in the morning, I became a father. My baby girl had entered the world at 7 pounds, 8 ounces, 20.5 inches. Everly Sue Aikman is in the world now. So the podcast will be changing just a little bit. Not much. It's just going to be re-recorded a week before the actual podcast episode comes out. So thank you for all staying till the end. Have a wonderful day.